The hand count risk limiting audit that was performed in Arizona in 2024 for the general election contradicts what the posted results for that election were. What's up, y'all? I'm David. I'm a data analyst, and I've been digging the election since, well, it happened. And I found some inconsistencies in the hand count audit reports from Maricopa and Pima County that contradicts what they posted for early voting results. Let's go through the inconsistencies first, and then I'll show you all the math. So the first thing I noticed is in this early vote batch here, there's supposed to be a maximum of 200 votes for, that's possible in each of these batches. Since the 2-page ballot, their maximum number of votes here is 198 or whatever. So you can see 195 total votes for president, but down here for Prop 130, we have 287. So that means there's an extra 100 reported votes in here, and that matched the machine total, which does not make any sense, because if you only scan 200, how do you have more votes that match the machine total? Next thing I noticed is during this batch, which is batch 49, there's 187 votes, but it's 121 for Proposition 138 and 66 no's. Now, the difference is the reported results are actually flipped. Every other EV batch has the yes number has less votes and the no vote has more votes. So either these are just magically picked 187 ballots that buck the trend, or the data's been manipulated, if you will. And I also found one minor issue in Pima County where you can see Prop 139, the total votes is around 300 per grouping, but there's the first batch, batch 8, has a hand count of 778 and the machine count of 778. Yet there should only be 350-ish max per batch. So something doesn't add up there. Now let's talk about the actual math and what I saw. Now also, thankfully, really quick, Pima did correct it when the individual batch was, and you can see for Prop 139, it won 204 to 72, but there's still on that main summary tab, the 778, which should not be there. So let's talk about Maricopa's risk limiting audit. So this is the results of the Maricopa early vote audit that was completed. And you can see the 26 badges that they grabbed up here. Kamala Harris had a total of 2,725 votes, and Donald Trump had 2,377, and there were 28 third-party votes. So the total was 5,130 votes. So of that total, Kamala Harris had 53.12%, and Donald Trump had 46.34%, and the third party had 0.55%. So the difference between, or the actual reported early vote totals for Kamala Harris was 881,000, 897,000 for Trump, and 25,000 for third parties. So it was a 48.86% for Kamala Harris, 49.73% for Donald Trump, 1.41% for third party. And that there's a total of 1.8 million early votes cast. Now, if I take these percentages of votes and extrapolate them to the total EV votes, then my estimated total for Kamala Harris would be 958,837, for Donald Trump would be 836,388, and for third parties would be 9,852. Now, the Senate early vote totals, where we saw Gallego and Donald Trump have very similar vote totals. The early vote for Gallego was 938,000, and for Kari Lake was 807,000 and 35,000 for third parties. So the Senate percent of totals was 52.69%, 45.31%, and 1.99%. And the difference between my estimated number and my Senate number is 0.43 for Kamala Harris, 1% for Donald Trump, and minus 1.45% for the third party. But what's striking to me is how close these numbers are if I use the early vote percentages. Like, what are the chances that they would pick 26 batches out of a lot? Now, I will say the one flaw in this is there was only 0.28% of total votes that were early votes that were counted as part of this hand count audit. But you can see, of that small percentage, 53% were for Kamala and 46% were for Donald Trump, which is what we expected going into the election. And it kind of paints the picture that the numbers are off or numbers are weird. When I'm looking at the election day audits, we can see they picked 5 precincts, and of those precincts, Donald Trump had 70% of the vote, and Kamala Harris had 28% of the vote. And the problem with the hand count, or the precincts that were picked for the election day, is that's not truly blind, because the 3 parties, the Republicans, Democrats, and Libertarians, all take a turn in selecting what precincts they want to use. So it is possible they stacked the deck and manipulate, pick the precincts they know Trump would do better in. But what I find interesting is that this hand count audit out of Maricopa, these 5 voting centers represent 2.65% of the vote. So that means they randomly picked all of the 4 of these precincts that were above average because there's 246 vote centers in Maricopa. So you can kind of see every other vote center down here at the bottom has to have less than 1,000 average votes. I'm not saying it's impossible, but what are the chances when trying to find 2% of the total voting centers, they found 2.65% of total votes. I saw the same thing happen in Pima County as well, where it's about 2.5% of the election day total votes that are represented in the 2% of precincts they're supposed to select voting centers they were supposed to select for their audit. I've been discussing this on Reddit. I'll link the thread to this data there. Go look it out, check it out, let me know your thoughts. And we need to know what happened in this election to have faith in future. Hope y'all are doing well. Had a Merry Christmas, and let's get it through the new year.